Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. So the plot thickens with the Mason Greenwood situation. We started off on Sunday as Manchester United fans, innocent Manchester United fans, we woke up thinking Mason Greenwood was a generational talent, a nice lad, and we're finding things out all the time. It's difficult. We're going to have to say everything's alleged at this point because of legal reasons. So on Sunday we saw bruises on Mason Greenwood's girlfriend, and not just bruises, let's be blunt, we saw blood as well. We also heard a very disturbing voice note. He was eventually arrested. He then yesterday was rearrested, apparently under alleged threats of death threats as well. This is all alleged, of course, because at this moment in time they're collecting the evidence, and this is what's going on. About an hour ago, I think, maybe more than that, he was released on bail. And so it doesn't seem like he's been charged with anything at this point in time. I think they're still kind of using the phrase, investigating further. So at this time, even though he's been arrested, it doesn't look like he's been charged with any crime. Now, again, I could be wrong about this because I'm only going off of what I've seen on the internet. The reason I'm covering this on my channel is because I'm a Manchester United fan. Let's just assume for a moment that this lad is guilty and the evidence is piling up. We're talking about a footballer who was around young children, who signed autographs for young children. And for me personally, I have to say this because I'm a very open and honest person. I have to say this because ultimately, for me, it's clear, and if I'm wrong, I apologise to the club and other people within the elite footballing industry. You knew about this. This is why Gareth Southgate sent him back to Old Trafford all those months ago. It's all making sense now. There was an atmosphere of, let's just say, of Mason Greenwood not particularly being an obedient, respectful young man, and clearly now we're finding out deeper and darker things about him, and this is just frightening to think that for all these months, if they had knowledge about what was going on and this young woman was allegedly under threat, it's absolutely disgusting. But I'll go back to the element that, if this guy was a danger, is he a danger to society? Well, when we talk about alleged death threats and we see the injuries the young woman seems to have, and we can only talk about allegedlys and seems to have at this moment because nothing's been confirmed. You're going to say to me, Mick, even if you're a United fan, what's it got to do with you? Well, it's got everything to do with me because I am a Manchester United fan and he plays for my football club. And I trusted him and I thought he was a good young lad, a generational talent that will be playing for us for the next 20 or 30 years. We've had, gentlemen like, how many can I mention? Someone like Duncan Edwards, who tragically lost his life in the Munich air disaster, a gentleman. He used to go around sweeping floors of the elderly. He used to go around the streets of Manchester bidding people around Manchester a good morning. Of course, times have changed. Footballers are elites now. They don't do that. But because of the money, because of the elite status of the players and the elite game now, it's changed. When Sky first injected money into football, we thought it was going to be great. At first it was great, but look at the damage now. Now, I'm not going to hold Sky responsible for what Mason Greenwood has allegedly done, but the problem is growing from somewhere. The truth of the matter is, right, if this guy is guilty of what he's being accused of, and we've seen some grotesque, physical evidence already, and we've heard some audio evidence already, and it is evidence at the end of the day, right? So, of course, the public are already, open session on their kangaroo court and judging him. But lessons must be learnt here. When someone like Greenwood is around, and you know as a football club, whether you're Manchester United or Macclesfield United, and you know he's a problem, you don't try and bury the truth. You don't try and protect yourselves and him from the glares of the media and people finding out. You protect the person or persons who are under threat from this person. You remove this person from your football club, no matter how embarrassing it is for you or no matter how much it costs you. Right? Before I knew about this, I looked up to Mason Greenwood. Young children looked up to Mason Greenwood. My nephew looked up to Mason Greenwood. And now he's seemingly finished, as far as we know. Now, we also know that he's been booted off FIFA, this, sponsorships, everything, right? They know. This doesn't happen unless they know he's guilty of what he's been accused of. Now, if I was his solicitor, I'd be advising him to come clean, say, oh, I'm a bad boy, I need help, blah, blah, blah. He's going to try and get away with this by saying he's not the full ticket and he needs help. And clearly, anyone who enacts such terrible pain onto another human being can't be the full ticket. But first of all, he needs to be punishment. He needs to be punished. He needs to face the law. And then he needs to go and see a psychiatrist and get the help he needs. I'm very much on forgiveness, but I'm not the one who needs to forgive him. His girlfriend needs to forgive him. It seems to me, as crazy as it sounds, that they still seem to be a couple. We'll see what happens there. But at the end of the day, football can't avoid the consequences of this. And, you know, the Premier League, elite Premier League athletes have now become just like American athletes. There's so much money, no matter what drugs they do, no matter what misdemeanors they do and enact. The most important thing to these huge, billion, pound, euro, dollar entities that are Premier League football clubs will do anything in their power to protect these, valuable, wealthy employees from capture, from prosecution. And that's the problem here, because you're not telling me Manchester United woke up to this audio and pictures on Sunday and was surprised about this. Of course they wasn't surprised about this. They was not. They knew. Come after me, right? The club can come after me, I don't care. You knew, right? Many, if not everyone, working for Manchester United Football Club probably knew. Probably not everyone, right? He's got people in his circle. He's friendly with some of those players. Think about that. Sometime this year, Ryan Giggs is facing trial himself for being accused on him being violent against a woman or women or whatever, right? It's all there. And of course, his teammates knew what he was like. For years he was being accused. When his affair with his brother's wife came out, he was threatening everyone on Twitter that he would sue us if we didn't keep our mouths shut. A nasty piece of work, right? These are players that I support via my love and, adulation for Manchester United. But no one could defend this. No one. We need to root this out of our game, the game that we love. Now, nothing's perfect. You're never going to have a game of football where everyone behaves themselves, right, and nobody acts like this. I understand that. But football needs, to be responsible for this and change things. They need to educate young players about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. You're telling me, shouldn't they know that this is not acceptable? Of course they should. But it's their responsibility to make sure these players haven't got some kind of mental health problems, some kind of, short temper problem, that they're not putting other people in danger. They're your responsibility, elite football clubs. You are paying them millions and millions of pounds, right? Because they're very, very talented young men. And right now the female game looks more attractive than the male game, and I've been saying this for a long time, because there's no fucking money in the women's game, and they're there for the love of the game. I support the women's game. I support Manchester United ladies or Manchester United women or whatever they frame it as, right? It's a great portion of the club. The girls there are brilliant, and they're there for the love of the game, right? and they play some great stuff, and I enjoy watching the games, and I support Manchester United ladies as much as I support the men's team. But right now, it's the Manchester United ladies team that are pure and are there for the right reasons, and they're fighting to get as much money as the men are. But what's going to happen then? Because I'm not saying they shouldn't get as much money as the men have, but look what's happened to the men's game. Is that what we want to see to the women's game? Elite football has become corrupt, and its employees, the footballers, have become spoiled little brats who think they are untouchable, and they're not. Because mark my words, no one should ever be untouchable. I don't care how good you are as a manager or a footballer. This has to stop. This has to be wielded out, not just out of football, but out of the world that we live in right now. I don't know what's going to happen to Greenwood. I don't know what his future is. I don't know if he avoids prison. And, you know, is this his first offence? Who knows? Nobody really knows much, because it's all a secret, because apparently it's none of our business. But at the end of the day, here's the thing: he's allegedly threatened someone's life. He's allegedly wounded someone to the depths of her bleeding, of her being so desperate she's posted the pictures on Instagram, right? Because she didn't know another way out. Think about it. Just think about it, right? She had no choice. Let's just talk about this for a minute, right? You're going to say to me, Mick, why didn't she go to the police? Because, let's be honest, what would have happened? The club would have covered it up. Let's be honest about it, right? She would never have got to the police. But she did have the power to grab her device, take some photos, and stitch him up with the audio. That's all she could do. She was, let's be honest, this young woman was trapped, and this is all that she could do. And I feel horrible for her. I feel horrible that I even doubted her, but it happens all the time. Every female victim is always doubted. And this is the society we live in. It's a natural thing to be defensive when someone's accused of something, especially someone that you kind of have respect for. But the problem is, you don't even know them. People are saying we shouldn't be looking up to people anymore, you know, celebrities, footballers. It's not about that. We don't know people well. We don't know what goes on in people's minds. But we've got to carry on having faith in people. Not everyone is Mason Greenwood. That's like saying I'll never make a friend again because one friend stabbed me in the back. No, that's not how life works. You continue to have faith in people. There are good people at Manchester United. There are great people in football. I'm afraid Mason Greenwood is a dud. He needs to take and face responsibility for what he's done, and then he needs to get the help he needs, because no one can be all there in the head to act in this way. It's as simple as that. But what has happened is an absolute eye-opener, and it goes to show you the depths of what football clubs and people in football, you know, the depths they will go to cover these things up, to protect their investments. We have become like the American athletes and the American football and all these kind of famous kind of, you know, American football clubs who are worth millions, maybe billions upon billions, and will do anything to hide their misdemeanors. This cannot be allowed, right? And what this young woman has done, she shed a light on a deeper problem, and us as the consumer have to take our responsibility as well. We have to stand up for these young women, because as much as young women say we don't need no man and we don't need anyone's help, everybody needs saving. Everyone needs helping, you and me. We need to stand by her, and we need to stand by women like this to make sure that this never happens again. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection, and I'll see you again in the next video. Until then, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.